Yes, I'm okay with that.
Perfect.
All right.
So let's just jump into this. So big thing about Genesis, if you've seen the videos, it's a tactical collectible card game. So instead of just playing with cards, the grid and the map that you play on is very, very important for gameplay.
Okay.
The second part to it is that we want to take you out from behind your hand and put you into the game. So instead of just being a character behind your hand, sending your monsters out to fight, we actually give you a champion that is you for gameplay purposes.
Okay.
So the two decks that we should have sent you are the Raha deck. So you have the Archer Raha,
Yep.
and then the Barbarian Malik.
Yeah, Grey Wolf.
Yes.
Yep.
So the Grey Wolf deck, it's going to have a 40 card deck with it, along with a bunch of stack tokens, a few advertising cards because we're still a business. There's a turn order card, which is going to be super important, and then two versions of the same champion. So it's literally just different artworks for the champions. So I have them here. You have the Malik deck with you. You have the one version where he's standing very powerful like a warrior. The other one where he's charging in, very aggressive in your face.
Okay.
And it's the same thing with the Raha. You'll see that there's two different artworks. It's the exact same card. You just pick one and you play with them.
Okay.
All right.
They do the same thing though.
Yeah, they do the exact same thing. So starting with the champion, in the top corner, so you have three banners, a red, a blue, and a green. These are your three core stats for your champion. These are they're the one thing that makes your champion very unique between each other. So the red banner is your starting health. You can go above this number, but this is how much you start the game at.
Okay.
All right. The second one is your starting aura. Aura is the currency of Genesis. You spend it to do magical abilities like cast spells, bring out creatures. But once it's spent, it's spent. You don't get any more afterwards.
Oh.
So Malik starts with 80, Raha starts with 95.
Okay.
And then after that is your green banner. That's your energy reduction. Now to do physical attacks in this game, you're going to pay energy, which means you're milling cards off the top of your deck. If your champion is a fighter, though, they can do these physical abilities a little bit better than other people. So instead of milling X cards off, they'll mill X minus whatever you have in the green banner. So Malik mills one less. Does that make sense or a little confusing?
No, that makes sense.
All right. So
I played games before that mill cards for resources. So
yeah, we literally took that mechanic, kind of like Universal Fighting System has kind of the same check system. So Raha, for example, let me find a better version of Raha. So we'll look at this one. Her area range attack 1, which is her second ability. You'll see in the white box, that's the cost of the ability. It's costing Exert and Energy 3. So instead of milling 3 cards, she'll mill 2 cards off the top of her deck.
Yeah, because she has a 1 up in the top. Okay.
Correct. All right. Now, then you have the top middle part. This is where the tactics element comes in. This is your awareness grid. The white arrow is you and the direction you're facing, and the red dots are your awareness. And this ties into your abilities that you have down below. So Raha has 2 abilities, range attack 2 and area range attack 1. Every ability is written the same way. The black box is the speed of that ability. So I assume you play a fair amount of Magic?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to use Magic terms. It makes life a little bit easier. So Swift,
like first strike.
Swift is like instant.
Instant, okay.
Yeah. And if you
I was thinking creature terms, so instant makes perfect sense.
And then action is like sorcery speed, can only be done during your main phase.
Okay.
The center is the name of the ability, so basic attack 2, heavy attack 4, range attack 2. Every attack ability is written the same way, where the prefixes, so like range, heavy, basic, that's the type of damage you deal. Then it has the word attack in it, and then in brackets, it's how much damage you deal.
Okay, and then it spells it out down below too.
Correct.
Okay.
In the last box, the white box is the cost of the ability. So Exert, most things will cost aura or energy. and some abilities cost exert. Exert is similar to like tapping, but since direction matters in the game, instead we're gonna grab like a little token, or you can use a coin or whatever you want, and you just place it on your card to say that it's exerted.
Okay.
Once it's exerted, it cannot use other abilities that cost exert. And once you're exerted, the turn for that character is over.
And did they refresh next turn?
And yeah.
Okay.
Does that make sense so far?
No, so far so good.
Perfect. The last thing I want to explain before I'm going to jump into a few rounds. So I'll be just playing against myself and walking through why I'm doing what I'm doing. But let me group these. Before I jump into that, I just want to explain creatures and how they work differently than other cards in your deck. So every single summon has a beckon ability, and that's how you're getting them from your hand onto the board. Most beckon abilities are action speed, so you're playing it during your main phase. They usually have an aura cost, so Inferno Ghouls beckon cost is 6 aura. And then you place the creature on one of the 4 adjacent spots. So adjacent are either of your sides, in front of you, or behind you.
Okay.
They come out facing the same direction as you, and then they come out exerted. So it's kind of like Summoning Sickness. They can't do anything the turn they come out.
Okay.
Afterwards, they become their own separate entity from you. They cannot use your aura. They cannot use your energy or cards from your hand. They have their own health that's independent from your health, and they'll even get their own turn that's independent from your turn. And I'll show you how turns and rounds and all that works in a little bit. Before I jump into that, do you have any questions?
No, I was going to ask about turns, but if we're going to get to that when we get to it.
All right. The last thing I want to talk about, actually, do you want me to talk about deck building now or at the end?
Let's probably do it at the end.
Okay, perfect. We'll do that.
Because these right here don't have to worry about deck building, right? They're just open and go. Yeah.
Correct.
So I need to know what I need to know to make this, and then I can learn what's needed to sell the game after it.
Makes sense. So these are all the other champions. I'll put them aside in case you have some questions about what the other characters are in the game.
Okay.
But the way the game starts, the champions start off in this back middle square facing off against each other, right? Then you set your health. So Malik's starting at 30 health. So we're just going to increase this up to 30. And then he's starting with 80 aura. So we're just going to set his aura up to 80. So a unique thing about this game is that here you actually start with everything. I guess I shouldn't say it's a unique thing. Flesh and Blood does that too. The idea is if you're coming into a battle and you're fighting for your life, you're going to come in full strength. So you're going to be swinging at the beginning with all these epic attacks. And then as the battle goes on, it's like grueling, like fist fight at the end.
Yeah.
All right. So we got, normally decks are 50 cards. These sample decks are just 40 cards. And then we take them, we place them off to the side. We got to shuffle them up. So I'm just going to do that quickly here. And then what I'm going to do to make life a little bit easier is I'll probably just take their hands and just place them on the board down here.
Okay.
So to start the game, you place your champions. You roll a dice or something to figure out who the starting champion is. That starting champion is the starting champion throughout the entire game. And that'll make much more sense once we get into it. So I'm just going to get some dice and coins that you need for every game that you play. All right. Cool thing about Tabletop Simulator, you have these infinity bags. So once you put something in there, you got infinite copies of them. All right. So we're going to just have Malik be the starting champion, just to make things easy for us. So to start the game, both players draw 5 cards. So I drew one too many. Put that on top. You'll be drawing that in a second anyways. Let's not make the same mistake. Draw 5 cards. Put those here. So Raha has her hand here. Malik has his hand here.
Okay.
The starting champion, the game itself is broke down into rounds and turns. Do you happen to have the turn order card in front of you?
I've got the booklet and that fans out.
Okay.
It's got a miniature picture of the game board on it, what it looks like.
Yeah. I'm just trying to remember if that actually has a turn order thing. I'm pretty sure it does. But in case you're ever looking for it, inside each of these demo decks, so I'm just going to crack this one open.
Okay, I'll crack one open too.
All right. So the last 10 cards are more just accessory cards that you need to help with the game. So you got 4 of these stack token cards, which are used to keep track of your stack in case it gets complex. Patreon and join the fight, you can ignore those. There is a card in here about how to build your own timeline, which is your deck. So there's
weave your timeline.
Yep.
And then the beginning of the round, turn order.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Perfect. So the game breaks down into a series of rounds and turns. Each champion in each summon gets their own turn where they go through 3 phases of move, main, and end, but the round is communal. The round always starts the same way, with both champions taking the top card of their deck and drawing it. So even if this is the first round, you're still drawing a card. So you essentially start the game off with 6 cards.
Okay.
Then
are there any abilities to play anything before first round begins?
No.
Okay.
There is one champion who has an ability, Visions. So Nubia here, she does have a big ability that does trigger at the beginning of the round, but technically, oh wait, yeah, I guess in her case, this triggers first, goes onto the stack, resolves, and then all players draw a card.
That's what I was wondering. So not that I knew about her or anything, but Magic has those cards that say if it's in your opening hand, do this crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So that would be one of those instances like there where it's before the round begins and everyone draws their card, she gets to draw a card.
Yeah.
But if there's no way to play a card before anyone else gets to draw a card for the turn, there's almost no reason for it.
So she has been a Red Hood recently, and her ability goes from being a trigger to being immediate, which is equivalent to split second. It goes onto the stack, resolves immediately.
Got you. All right.
Okay, so Malik is the starting champion. He always gets the first turn. He starts in his move phase. Everyone always starts in the move phase. During your move phase, you can either stay where you are and go directly to your main phase, where you can bring out creatures, do whatever you want, or you can move and or rotate. So moving is going to one of the 4 adjacent squares. So I'm going to move Malik 1 square up. And then at this point, he can choose to rotate 90 degrees.
Okay.
So I could move to the side if I want to, but I'm just deciding it's easier to just move forward.
So you don't have to face where you're moving?
No. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so you can just see the cards. Let me know if you ever need me to zoom in on a particular card or anything like that.
Will do.
All right. So moving Malik forward 1. Now he can choose to move a second time, but if he does, he skips his main phase. So it's kind of like dashing in D&D, where if you move too fast, you can't do your slow abilities.
Got you. So it's move, rotate, or stay, then go to main phase, or go to move, rotate again.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my main phase, and I'm going to bring out this Jalarian Hound. It has action, beckon, 9 aura. So I'm going to take it for technically you would first pay the 9 aura, put it onto the stack, let it resolve. Once it resolves, I'm going to drop him here, and it comes out exerted. Right? Okay. Now I'm still in my main phase. I can play as many abilities as I want in my main phase as long as I have the resources to pay for them all.
Yeah, but you don't want to burn it all quick.
Correct. So it's a balance between taking tactical advantage at the moment or saving your resources for a move down the line.
He only gets those 90 and then he's done, right?
Correct. So I'm going to spend another 10 and drop a Grey Wolf here. Now I'm done Malik's main phase. I go to his end phase. During my end phase, I can still play as many Swift abilities as I want. And once I'm done my end phase, I become exerted.
Okay.
Now, Malik's exerted. It's the end of Malik's turn. It goes over to Raha's turn. Raha's going to start by moving forward 1 as well. I'm just trying to find what summons I have here. Let's bring out a Blackstone Golem to face off against that Jalarian Hound. So that costs 14. Nope, that's positive. Negative, and then down to 81. And then I'm going to also bring out this Androthera. So this costs another 7. 5, 6, 7. All right. So those are all exerted. Raha, there's nothing in Raha's awareness to attack because so she's an archer. She can actually hit these 4 spots, but
Yeah.
nothing's in any of those spots. So I'm just going to exert her there. Now everyone's exerted. That's the end of the round. We go into the second round by taking off all of these exert tokens and drawing a card.
Okay.
So
now, if you exert yourself during the main phase, where you can play your abilities and all that, it says end phase, you play swift abilities. If you're exerted, you can't exert yourself then, right?
No, you can't exert yourself a second time. But your end phase, when you go to your end phase, a stack is opened. So even if you're exerted, you can still play other swift abilities that do not cost exert. So if you have something in your hand that costs, like, for example, here, Raha has Gust. It's a swift ability costing 12 aura. It doesn't cost exert. So she can still play that in her end phase, even if she's exerted.
Okay, because it says then at the end of your end phase, exert yourself.
Yes. So that's the very last thing.
But that's not a cost of the card. That's just a ability of the end phase.
Yes, correct.
Okay. All right. Or a portion of the end phase, not an ability. All right.
Correct. So getting into the second round, this is where things get a little confusing. So like I said before, each unit on the board has their own turn. So Malik's team has 3 turns. Raha's team has 3 turns. So if it's Malik's turn, Malik's the starting champion. His team always gets the first turn.
So his whole team?
Yeah. So he picks 1 unit. So just say he starts with the Jalarian Hound.
Okay.
This unit will go through his entire turn until it becomes exerted. Then it goes to Raha's team to pick 1 unit.
All right.
And then you go back and forth.
So there is a benefit to having a large number of things out there.
Yes. So we talk about resource management. One of the other resources that you have is the amount of turns you get in a round. So the more turns you have, the more you can optimize that round.
Yeah.
The second part about this is that the game favors the defender. So if my Jalarian Hound was, during its turn, move phase, moves once, moves twice, goes to its end phase, and then it has a swift basic attack 3 of it, and it costs exert. So if the Jalarian Hound decides at this point to attack the Blackstone Golem, the Blackstone Golem, because it's not exerted, can respawn with his own swift earth attack 4, hitting the so that would exert. The stack would look like this. So with the Jalarian Hound's attack, and on top of it, the Blackstone Golem's attack would be on top of that. So this would resolve first, killing the Hound, removing his attack from the stack.
Really?
Yeah. So you don't want to charge up against someone if you know you're going to lose the combat.
Wow. Yeah, I saw that it didn't have very much health.
Yeah. Now, the thing you can do is if I do that, now this Blackstone Golem becomes exerted because it attacked back. It won't get a turn for the round. So I can capitalize that knowing that it's stuck there and do other things to ruin my opponent's strategy.
Well, you might want to do that specifically to stop it from doing something you know it might do to you.
Yeah, like baiting it to attack your Hound instead of attacking the champion.
Yeah. Can things move diagonally or?
So that takes 2 moves, right?
Takes 2 moves? Okay. Yeah, because you'd go 1-1. Okay.
Yeah. The other thing, this is where tactics really comes in. If I were to sneak up beside the Blackstone Golem and attack it, it could not attack back because I'm outside of the Blackstone Golem's
of its awareness.
Yep.
Okay.
So
that would take 3 moves to get there, and you don't have 3 moves.
Yeah.
So it's move, then you can do swift abilities, which are normally attacks?
They're usually attacks, yeah.
Okay.
Majority of the abilities in the game are swift, unless they start becoming very powerful, then they are action speed.
And you can only do those if you're not already exerted?
As long as the card ability costs exert, then you can't do them.
Yeah, unless the ability of the swift doesn't cost exert.
Correct.
All right.
So the gentleman here by the neck of it here for a box.
Yeah, it should be held back here. So sorry about that.
That's okay. The other thing I wanted to point out is that when just say Grey Wolf does the exact same thing. It's a 3/1. It does the exact same thing against the Androthera. Now, what my opponent could do is instead of responding with Andothera, since I'm inside Raha's awareness, Raha could respawn and attack the Grey Wolf, leaving that Andothera unexerted for future.
Oh, okay. So anybody that's potentially able to retaliate could retaliate.
Correct.
So even back row people with archer ability could retaliate. All right.
Yes. So if Raha, just say the Blackstone Golem is being here, Malik comes and attacks the Blackstone. In response, Raha could attack Malik.
Okay. Won't kill him.
No.
But if you're going to lose your guy, you might as well retaliate with your guy.
Yeah. So just because, like, not really playing to win because I'm just playing against myself. What I would do in this situation is I know that this Grey Wolf is more or less screwed. Like, this Andothera is going to kill it no matter what.
Name one. Under special orders. Sorry again. Say that again.
So this Andothera is able to hunt down this Grey Wolf wherever he goes because Andothera has a long range attack. So it can
go double.
It can hunt things down pretty easily.
Yeah.
My Galarian Hound is definitely exposed by this Blackstone Golem. So I'm going to move it to the side, exert it there. Blackstone Golem will chase up there. So might move this back like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you moved it back, it can't be attacked, right? Or no, it could
Well,
because
because
move
now
up twice.
Andothera can move twice here
And then
and
attack.
But the advantage Malik has now is that there's two things Malik can do. He can move forward and swipe this Andothera, so it became a bit of a bait to get that advantage. The other thing he can do is, oh, this could be fun. So if I move here, now go into my main phase. I got this creature, Death Eater. He has a trigger ability. When he enters the arena, he kills a summon with 3 health or less. So I would drop that here. Now, Death Eater's ability, it kills target summon around it with remaining 3 health or less. So we talked about adjacent earlier, which are the 4 orthogonal squares. Around are all 8 squares around.
Okay, but it said it costs 3 hearts to summon that one.
So paying 3 health, going down to 27.
So that's 3 of your life to summon that guy.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, that's cool because that's another resource.
Yes. So Chaos, the purple symbol, it often taps into health as another resource.
Okay.
So Death Eater enters arena, kills off the Andothera. Now, because I'm still in my main phase, I can play this card called Leap. It costs 3 energy, so 3 mill, but instead of milling 3, I mill 2. So I take 2 cards off the top of my deck. They're gone. What this does is allows me to move to the spot in Leap's awareness, and then I may rotate.
Yeah, so now you're going to be able to kill the other guy too.
Yep, I come here, rotate. Malik, being the barbarian that he is, he has this heavy attack 4. It costs exert and 2 health. So let's exert him, pay 2 health, and it deals 4 damage, killing this guy.
He's a berserker.
Yep. Now what Raha gets to do is kind of in a rough situation, but you need some defenses.
Well, I mean, moving to the side one and then rotating, you can't shoot it.
Yeah, if you were to go here, now Malik's outside of range.
You can't shoot it, so you wouldn't do that. That's a tough situation, yeah.
So I would the thing is, like I said before, the key is to not just ruin your opponent's health and aura, but also try to take out as many turns as they have per round.
Yeah.
So if I move forward one, pardon?
The cards are small in the hand, but it looks like there's a couple cubs.
Yeah. So you got these Regissi Lions. They're pretty
She's lions.
Yeah.
They got pretty good health, but they cost a ton to back in.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I would do here is that Raha would shoot down before shooting down, because that would end her turn. Let's put down a Regissi Lion. The cool thing is about the line is that it can defend its sides and in front of it as well.
Yep.
So if it's here, costing 15.
But it summons and then it gets exerted when it summons, so it can't do any attacking. But that's a pretty solid decision to block up Raha a bit.
Yeah.
Protect her.
Now Raha can shoot this Death Eater, which will bring him down to 2 health. Now damage is permanent. It doesn't go away at the end of round.
Okay. Are there ways to heal it in the game?
There are. So that would end Raha's turn. We go into the next round. Drawing a card. Now, the advantage about shooting the Death Eater is now if this Death Eater wants to try to sneak up on this lion anywhere, the lion can always attack back for the 3. It always
Yeah, and
has
then kill it
equal
before the
damage.
Death Eater gets its damage.
Yeah, so it has complete advantage over the Death Eater now. So this could be a case where I tag team that lion. So this thing has 3 health. If my Delarian Hound comes in here and attacks the lion, right?
Yeah.
So we create the stack. We put the hound first. The lion can either go after the hound or come after the Death Eater. So just say it goes after the hound. So let's copy this, put that down. So it goes after the hound to defend itself. Then in response, the Death Eater goes to attack the lion. What this would mean, this current stack, is that the Death Eater would kill the lion before the lion deals any damage to the hound. Both of these live. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
The Death Eater
So
summons kills it, right?
yeah, the Death Eater's
Yeah.
attack ability would kill the lion, which would remove the lion's attack from the stack. And then the Delarian Hound's attack would fizzle, but at least it would be alive.
Yeah, because the order of the stack.
Yeah.
So that's rather smart, moving so that the one attacks, then you retaliate against the retaliate.
Yeah.
But it eats up both of your guys to get rid of the one. However,
Yeah.
the board state's pretty heavily right now in Malik's favor.
Now what I can do here is respond with Raha. Going after the Death Eater. So Raha's attack will go first.
Yeah, because he's in range.
Yep. Death
So the
Eater's
Raha
ability
kills that.
fizzles. Lion's attack goes through, which kills off the hound.
Yep.
And then the hound's ability fizzles. And the lion
and the lion lives. That's genius. But then it exerts all of them. And so now Malik is free to do whatever he wants.
Yeah. And at this point...
But way to clear the board state.
Yeah. I would definitely keep pressure on Raha by moving behind here, where she doesn't have any advantage, and drop this guy. 15 aura, he has 6 health, 4 attack, but he has decay, meaning he was losing 1 health in each go round.
At the end of each round.
Yep. So he more or less starts with 5 health. But he's a big guy. All right. So the only other rule that I would note at this point is the difference between moving and placing. So when you go to move onto a spot, you can only move onto unoccupied spots. So those are spots without champions or summons on them. So Malik can move to any of these 3, but cannot move here, even though his own summon is there. And
makes sense.
Raha can only move to these 2 spots.
Okay.
But if an ability says place, let me find one with better resolution. So the beckon ability says place the creature on a spot adjacent to you. You can place multiple things on top of each other. They just occupy the same spot. They cannot attack each other. There's this weird blind zone issue. They can't attack each other. But the advantage here is if you ever find yourself surrounded and you can't, because you're surrounded, you're like, oh, I can't play any creatures. Well, no, you still can. It's just they're now a bit exposed. So even though Raha's surrounded, she can still play like a fire.
So you can place it on there, but when you go to move it, you got to move it.
Yeah. Move it off to a time.
Into a space that's not occupied.
Correct.
Okay.
And then the other thing that we didn't show are alterations. These are like terrain cards. So these do not occupy spots, but they modify spots into some other like epic thing. So in here, it becomes the Inferno Pits. Malik could play this for 12 aura, placing Inferno Pits anywhere on the board. So just say you place this here. Now, whenever something walks onto Inferno Pits, the trigger occurs, meaning anything that moves onto it or is placed onto it takes 2 fire damage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So if you can surround someone and place it on the only free one around that they can move into, you effectively will stop their movement.
Yeah.
Unless they want to take damage.
Yeah. Now, Raha actually has a card in her deck, which is called, where's Walls of Odhis? She should.
Walls of Odhis?
Yeah. It actually is a alteration that
Champions and summons
occupies.
cannot move on to.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So you can now
You-
create these barriers between you and your opponent and just start shooting over those walls like an archer does, right?
Yeah. So what about summons? Can you summon on this one? Because no, it says you can't summon.
No, you cannot move onto that, but you can be placed onto it.
A
So,
summons can be placed on.
Yeah.
Okay.
so if you go to beckon the summon, you can beckon summons onto the wall, but then
Okay,
they'll have to
alright.
move off of the wall later.
So your creatures are called summons.
Yes, correct.
Okay. I see it now right below the names of all of them. Okay.
Yep.
And techniques are like attacks they do?
Yeah, so techniques are more your physical attacks. Spells are your magical abilities. Techniques are just any physical ability. So even something like leap here was a technique.
Okay. Oh wow, smoke bomb, you move backwards. That's cool.
Yeah. And it's really cool when so I had this epic moment where I was playing a 4-player free-for-all, and one person was trying to drop a meteorite, which hits 9 squares. So he was targeting 3 of us at the same time to hit us all with this giant meteorite. I tried to smoke bomb out. Once I smoke bomb out, my opponent had a card called Shoulder Throw, which grabs the person behind them and throws them into one of the spots in front of them. So I smoke bomb out. He grabbed me, threw me back into the meteorite, and then we all got
Oh
hit.
my god. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
You get these really, really fun epic moments. So that's the essence of how the game works. There's, of course, there's going to be particular edge rules with different cards, but the core rules, this is it.
Okay. So when playing the game, you choose the one of the 2 arts you prefer.
Yeah.
Then the other one stays out. You don't shuffle it in?
No.
Okay, because there's be no point. Just you can't summon yourself.
Yeah, correct.
All right. So then the deck becomes these ones are 40 cards you said, but the deck's normally 50.
So yeah. So how deck building works? Do you play Commander by any chance?
I do.
So
I don't have a deck anymore.
Fair enough. So your champion's color. So Rahat is yellow, blue, and white. Those are the only 3 colors you can play with. So if you have a card that's just a yellow and red, she cannot play that because she does not have access to red. But she can play any of the cards within her colors. Your
Okay.
deck has to be exactly 50 cards, no more, no less.
Okay.
Sample decks are sample decks, but normal
Yeah.
50 cards. And then every single card in this gray banner on the right beside the awareness, that's your chi of your card. So your deck's total chi, when you sum up all cards, has to be 250 or less. The average card coming out to 5.
Oh wow.
But there's no limitations on the number of copies of a card in your deck.
So the number that's that one's a 3.
So it goes
Okay.
from 3 to 8.
250 or less.
Yes.
Doesn't have to be 250, but your deck has to be 50.
Yeah.
Okay. Kind of like Keyforge also a bit.
I bought some starter decks for Keyforge, but didn't have the opportunity to play it.
Now, Keyforge has a rule. You haven't mentioned it. If I start playing a card, like if I want to play Prior Cub, it's got whatever the blue and the yellow is. I can choose to play other stuff that turn. I'm not just limited to those 2 because in Keyforge you'd be only limited to whatever faction you've already played because you can't play multiple factions in one turn.
Your deck building rules have very little impact in the actual gameplay. Once the game starts,
good. All right.
Those mechanics are not as relevant.
Yeah, it's the hardest part of Keyforge to learn is you play with 3 factions always of the 9, I believe it is.
Mm-hmm.
But once you play anything of alien faction, you can't play anything else that turn but alien that turn.
Yeah, no.
So I just want to know if you do the Cub, could you then also cast a spell that might have whatever that I'm gonna call it ice blue looking. Yeah, that symbol like that.
Yeah.
There you go.
No,
That's exactly what I was looking at too. That's weird. But yeah, if that doesn't play any effect on the actual gameplay. No. All right. Well, this is really simple.
You'll have cards. There's, I think, a few cards, maybe like 3 or 4 cards in the entire game so far that do reference that number in the gray banner.
Okay.
The chi cost, but they're very, very few.
Okay.
Most of the times, the rarity and the affiliation symbols, the chi cost, that does not come into play when it comes to the actual gameplay.
How are I'm assuming booster packs?
Yep.
For expansion?
Yep. Did we
Okay.
not send you booster packs?
No, there are in this.
Okay.
I was assuming those were like prizes and things. But are you planning future decks also is what I was getting at.
Pardon?
What I was getting at is, are you planning future decks?
Yeah.
Like
so
pre-made decks?
for beta, I think the beta starter kits have been all sold out. So your distributor might still have them, but you would have to ask. With our expansion that's coming out this summer, we are releasing a 2-player starter kit pre-built deck, so you don't have to do any modifications. It's Idris versus Raha, so we already saw Raha as one of the champions.
Yep.
Idris is this mage. She has 125 aura, so a lot more, 25 health, no energy reduction. And her secondary ability, her fireball, allows her to hit anyone from anywhere for 2 fire damage. So she's that epic fire mage.
Okay.
So it's a Raha versus Idris deck, and they're based around 2 of the top tier meta decks. So they're like baby versions of those meta decks.
Okay.
So those are coming out and should be available for pre-order now.
Well, this seems pretty good, and it seems like games should only take. I mean, they go pretty fast paced. I appreciate you slowing it down for me, but I'm guessing it's a 1 of 1. You don't play best 2 out of 3.
So it depends. If you're doing a tournament, I do best 2 out of 3, 45 minutes.
45. Okay.
Very similar to Magic.
Yeah, I was saying it'd probably take about 20-25 minutes. It looks like you'll play a game.
Yeah. It all comes down to, like, are you playing against someone who's more like Magic style, or are you playing against someone who's more chess style, who thinks about every single move? Those players can take a little bit longer. We've had some games go on for the full 45 minutes, like one game go for 45 minutes, but that doesn't happen that frequently.
One more question on the combat stuff. In a monster fight, or I guess a summons fight, I should call it. If you're being attacked, you get a chance to attack back, retaliate, if you're not exerted.
Correct.
So if you had a giant cluster in the middle, you could involve a lot of guys in one fight.
That is why we give you these stack token cards to keep track of things.
What if due to summoning or beckoning, what if due to beckoning, I have beckoned 3 things on the same hex? Do I get to choose? Or do they all have to retaliate?
So if it's this situation where we have 2 Death Eaters and a Pyawad on the same spot, and Jalarian Hound comes in. So if the Hound is on the offensive and decides to, for some reason, attack this pile of monsters, when he attacks, anyone in here can retaliate.
As long as they're within the retaliation zone.
Correct.
Okay.
So, like, if this one's facing this way and this one's facing this way, then the only one who can retaliate is the one who's facing forward, right?
That'd be suicide.
But the other
no matter which one of those fights back, they're going to kill the dog before the dog can do anything.
Correct.
So,
but just say it's something like this. It's Malik at the end of last round. Malik beckoned all 3 of these summons here, and Raha is sitting right here. Then what can happen is Death Eater attacks. So Death Eater attack goes onto the stack, right? Raha realized, oh, I don't have anything in my hand to retaliate. I have no response to that. Well, now it goes back to Malik's team to decide another retaliation. So now Death Eater can respond, the other one. So
you can respond to your own attacks.
Yes. And then Raha
even if they don't respond back.
Correct.
Okay.
So now Raha goes, sorry?
That's kind of what I was getting, but I wasn't asking it the right way. My thinking was if I had like 3 prior cubs or 2 prior cubs, I keep saying clubs, up against Malik. Malik would retaliate back, hurting one of the cubs, but then could the other cubs retaliate even if there's more cubs than there is? And that was kind of my question.
So yeah, if just say the stack is like this, or not the stack, but the board situation is like
the board situation. Those are all those have all been beckoned into the same square.
Yeah,
because that's the only way they could occupy the same square.
Yeah, for the most part, there are some cards that can do some funny shenanigans, but let's not get into that.
Card rules supersede normal rules, right?
Yep, the golden rule.
It's the golden rule. Yep.
So just say this is the board state. What could happen? And Malik is the starting champion. So Malik decides, okay, I'm going to attack this cub. So we start with Malik on the bottom of the stack, right? Then in response, this cub here decides to attack back. So that goes onto the stack. Now Malik decides, his team decides in response, Death Eater is going to attack this Raha. And then Death Eater is now.
Oh wow! Because they're not even involved in the combat, and they can do it.
Yeah, correct. Anyone from anywhere can respond. So even if this whole entire thing was happening on this side of the board, it could still happen like this.
Okay.
But it can get really messy.
Okay.
And this is why we recommend physically representing the stack, so you can keep.
No, that's beneficial for those cards.
So then Fire Cub responds. Let's say Fire Cub responds here.
But he responds
attacking Malik.
And he's hitting Malik, so he's not going to affect the other one, but he still has to be done in the order he does.
Correct.
Okay.
So let's just say it keeps going.
Yep.
This one attacks, then this Fire Cub attacks here, and then this Death Eater attacks.
Yep.
And then at the end, Raha decides, oh, I'm actually going to play Smoke Bomb. So that,
which backs him away, right?
Yep. So we start resolving this. This Smoke Bomb resolves. So Raha goes, just say, over here. Death Eater's attack tries to happen, but since Raha's no longer here, the Death Eater's attack does nothing. Fire Cub's attack happens. Malik takes the 2 damage. This does nothing. Fire Cub hits for 2. This does nothing. Fire Cub hits for 2. And then Malik finally kills off that first Fire Cub.
Now, Smoke Bomb doesn't exert it.
No. So Raha's not exerted at this time. Raha can then use her turn to come up here.
If Raha only went back 1 with the Smoke Bomb, then Raha could also attack, right?
Yeah. Raha could continue the stack by attacking one of these.
Yeah. Raha could Smoke Bomb, and then Malik's side has nothing to do. Then Raha could choose to attack one of the 3. Then it resolves the... Actually, you'd have to resolve the Smoke Bomb first, wouldn't you?
Oh, well, it depends. Yeah, you can let the Smoke Bomb resolve. And then we also have the part in Magic that once an ability resolves, then it goes back to re-ask everyone, is there anything more you want to
So you can add to a stack once a chain is or a stack is resolving?
Yes, correct.
Okay, all right.
So you can let the Smoke Bomb resolve, and then before the next attack resolves, Raha responds with her own attack.
Okay. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, it gets really complex at times. But that's some of the fun of it, right?
Yeah. Awesome.
All right. Any other questions?
No, that's it.